views and opinions expressed may not reflect those of the Allen County Public Library, Access Fort Wayne, and or any other supporting groups. If you are interested in producing your own programs for Access Fort Wayne, you can contact us at 260-421-1250.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and welcome to CountyLine. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and welcome to CountyLine, the program featuring news and information from and about Allen County government. Behind me is the Belle Vista Bridge, a span that was opened late last year here in southern Fort Wayne. This is one of a number of projects undertaken and coordinated by the Allen County Highway Department. That's their responsibility, the bridges throughout Allen County. Bill Hartman is the director of the Highway Department, and we're going to talk to Bill a little bit about bridges, bridge work that's undertaken here in the county, what's involved, and maybe clear up a few misunderstandings and misconceptions you might have about our bridges. First of all, Bill, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mike.
We mentioned this was opened last December, and I know it's something the community was really looking forward to out here.
Yes, we worked on this project in the design phase for about 10 years before we finally got clearance for the elevation and the span, what have you, and funding in order to get this done.
That's one thing people may not understand. When we're talking about taking care of the bridges, this is something that just doesn't happen overnight, or even maybe like in this case, a few years. This can take quite some time.
It can take a while. There are several permitting agencies. We have to go through DNR, Army Corps, IDEM, and then of course there's the issue of funding as well. And we've had a CUME Bridge Fund before. We've used seeded money for bridges. Right now we're using a surtax wheel tax base for our for most of our bridges. Our bridges 20-foot span up to right at 200 feet, and then we've got a major bridge fund for the bridges 200-foot span and over.
And then when you're working on projects in conjunction with, say, state and federal agencies, and you're looking for funding from those agencies, that just takes a little longer also because you have to work with them.
There's more requirements in a federal aid project. They have stricter requirements for us to go through, in order to accomplish our projects.
How many bridges in Allen County is the Highway Department responsible for?
Currently we have 393 bridges that we're responsible to take care of, and they're if you look at the whole county, it's everything except all bridges except what are on state routes. State routes are taken care of by Indiana Department of Transportation. Everything else we manage and maintain.
And should be pointed out, we're talking about within the city of Fort Wayne, the city of New Haven, towns.
Yes.
Everything in the county from a bridge standpoint, you folks are responsible for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
And we're talking all different kind of lengths
of
these bridges.
Yeah, we have out on Maple Crest Road recently, we put in 2 bridges that are over 900-foot span altogether, and of course it goes down to, like I say, a 20-foot span.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit about the maintenance of the bridges that we have here in Allen County. As we mentioned, this is newly constructed. I mean, there was a bridge here at one time, and this had to be replaced, but you also maintain the bridges. Tell us a little bit about that process. Kind of explain to folks how that works.
Well, every 2 years, the federal government puts in 80%, we put in 20%, and have all the bridges inspected. And then that report gives us priorities and suggestions for repairs and replacements for all the bridges. So,
who does the actual inspection work?
Well, we hire a consulting firm. We put out requests for proposals, and we get proposals for any number of firms, and then we go through a selection process and select who we feel are the best qualified.
And is there a timetable involved? In other words, does a set number of bridges get done one year and another set another year, or how does that work?
Well, the NDOT and the feds set a deadline every 2 years that the bridges have to be inspected by, so they can keep a national report in order.
Okay, so they come out, they check the bridges, they tell you what kind of work needs to be done?
They make suggestions, yeah, they make general suggestions. Then we look at the priority list, compare that to our funding availability, and then hire consultants to do the design for rehabilitation or reconstruction. Many of the repairs we can find contractors and under quotations and do a lot of minor repairs with local contractors.
What determines priority? Kind of give us an idea of what might put a bridge up higher on the list than, say, another bridge?
Well, the biggest priority would be the condition of the deck and the supporting members underneath the deck. The foundations generally aren't a problem. Sometimes the width of the bridge isn't wide enough for the traffic at the time, or if it's a really old structure and it didn't meet load limit standards that we have today, the use in that area, say an industry comes in and makes it necessary to rebuild a bridge. And sometimes, like in the case of Maple Crest Road or Hillegas Road, or years ago Engle Road, there's a new road route that's picked that requires bridges to be constructed. So
now, every now and again, we'll hear phrases thrown around such as a bridge has structural deficiencies, or might be structurally obsolete. And I know from the standpoint of residents, they're thinking, wow, this bridge must be in real danger of falling in or collapsing, or when it's structurally deficient. That's not necessarily the case.
Those are rather harsh terms, but what they really do are lead us to qualification for federal funding for the bridge. It's a rating for the federal system, and it helps them determine funding levels and availability, so we can use their funds for a lot of the bridge repair and a lot of the bridge reconstruction. So unless it's got a load limit on it, it's fine for everyday traffic. Sure. If it gets to a point where it's really got a problem, we'll put a load limit, say 10 ton, 4 ton, 5 ton limit on it, and then that'll restrict some of the heavier vehicles from using the bridge. And if it gets totally unusable, then we'll close it.
But those are the things that lead you to make the prioritization and determine, here's a bridge that, let's say, is going to need some rehab work, or maybe we even have to kind of tear it down and start all over again, sort of. Mm-hmm. That gives you the ability to plan for that.
Yes, yeah, we can develop a plan. Generally, it gives us about a 5 to 10 year plan. Thereabouts. It gives us an idea of how much funding we should strive for to keep the system in good shape so that commerce can take place over all our bridges.
Right, because we don't want to disturb that any more than we have to.
No, well, and then there's a matter of public safety too. Fire trucks weigh quite a lot when they're loaded with water, and we need to accommodate them as well.
One thing that I noticed when you're doing rehab work on bridges, especially the older bridges that have certain historic features to them. The Highway Department is kind of sensitive to that, and I know you guys work to try and keep those things in place, refurbish them.
We try to preserve some historical elements as we can. On the Harrison Street Bridge over the St. Mary's River, that was part of the Lincoln Highway system, and there were some original granite plaques in that bridge that we preserved and reincorporated back into the bridge. When we rehabilitated the Tecumseh Street Bridge, same thing. We tried to maintain the historic elements of that. When we rebuilt the Columbia Street Bridge, we put the original style lighting back on the bridge. So we do what we can.
And I know this bridge in particular here in Belle Vista neighborhood, there was quite a bit of concern because they had some flooding in the past.
Yes.
So that's an issue you're also looking at as far as building. This bridge had to be built up, right?
Right, yeah, we raised this bridge 3 feet. Yeah, we had several occasions where the water overtopped this bridge and it had to be closed during a flooding event. And and then some of the sewers in the area had to have some assistance with pumps and vac trucks, etc. And when we reconstructed the bridge, we added concrete pads for the pumps and trucks to sit on, so they can help the neighborhood stay viable during a flooding situation.
Talked about some of the rehab work you've done, but you've also constructed new bridges, and Maple Crest is a prime example of that. Brand new bridges,
Sure.
never there before.
Right, a brand new route.
And the longest that we have here in the county.
Yeah, we had a situation where Adams Center and Maple Crest roads had interchanges on 469 on either end, and there was a gap between those to make a north-south corridor. And we were fortunate enough to partner with City of Fort Wayne, City of New Haven, federal government, and then bond issue through our county council, and connect that link with a new four-lane stretch with four brand new bridges.
And what a difference that's made out in that area.
Right now, yeah, we last traffic count we had 17,000 cars a day, so it's been a great success. Yeah. And then the city, of course, is four-laning Maple Crest onto the north, and it'll just get better.
And it's not only been a great corridor for traffic, as you say, volume of cars and vehicles moving through there. There's also a safety factor there because of, I know, the railroad crossings.
Yeah, we had an isolated area there where the railroad yards and Do It Best Corporation, they were isolated between the river and the railroads a lot of the day. In fact, some of the businesses there had a little difficulty getting their employees in and out, to work on time. And we bridged over the railroad and over the river, built a ramp down into Nelson Road, and so that area is no longer isolated from safety vehicles.
And those are some happy folks out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, kind of give us an idea of maybe some of the upcoming bridge projects that we can expect the Highway Department working on. I know you've got out on Bass Road, you're going to be doing some road work, but also
from Hillgas Road to Scott Road, we're going to convert Bass Road into a 3-lane section with a multi-use trail, and which will involve widening the bridge over I-69 to accommodate that trail. And then there's also a bridge just immediately east of I-69 that we'll reconstruct as part of that project. And then Washington Center Road over Spy Run Creek, that's a bridge that is narrow and narrow underneath for the waterway as well as on top for the traffic, and we're pursuing a federal aid project to widen that bridge as well.
And again, those are things
near future.
Yeah, in the near future. But again, those are things that are coming down the road, so to speak, possibly years away. But you're having to plan now.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, average project can take anywhere from 6 to 8 years from conception to final construction.
So it'll take a while, but we'll get it there.
Yes, sir.
And thanks to the Allen County Highway Department. So, Bill, thanks a lot for being with us. We appreciate it. Well, we are deep into spring, and summer is on the horizon. And this time of year, I have a big concern about an increase in the mosquito population here in Allen County. Not just the ones that bug you a lot, but the ones that also can carry diseases and can be especially dangerous. So we want to come out to vector control at the Allen County Health Department and talk with Dave Feast, who's the head of the operations out here, about what you need to watch out for and the things that his operation will be doing to try and keep mosquitoes to a minimum if possible. Dave, first of all, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. What's kind of the outlook right now as far as, are we going to see a lot of mosquitoes or just a few mosquitoes? Or what?
Well, it's kind of hard to say with all the factors that are involved with temperature. We've had this fluctuation this spring with cool nights or hot nights, cool days or hot days, and then we've had rain off and on, and so all those little factors kind of come together to what will create a bad mosquito season or what would be a good mosquito season. Rainy, warm weather is going to produce a lot of the nuisance type mosquitoes. These mosquitoes that are very aggressive, they lay their eggs around these woodland pool type low areas, and this off and on rain that we've been having will fill up those pools, and you'll all of a sudden have thousands of these nuisance mosquitoes flying around. Now, if this rain stops and we have periods of hot, dry weather, those nuisance numbers will go down, but those mosquitoes that can carry diseases like West Nile virus then will start increasing with that hot, dry weather.
Talk a little bit more about the disease-carrying mosquitoes, the types of diseases that we're aware of in the past, and anything new that you folks are kind of monitoring.
Okay. Well, everyone knows about West Nile virus, and the type of mosquito that, there's 3 types of mosquitoes that can carry that virus, and they prefer the hot, dry weather. They like to lay their eggs. The female likes to lay her eggs on these little stagnant pools of water, your bird baths that the water's been sitting there for a week or 2, the little kiddie pool that's not being used but that water's still in there, the drip trays underneath your potted plants, your clogged gutters, unmaintained swimming pools, unrimmed tires, anything that collects these stagnant pools of water, that's where you're going to find these mosquitoes breeding. We're also concerned with, there's a virus called lacrosse encephalitis. That is carried by what's called the tree hole mosquito, and that mosquito, she likes to lay her eggs on in the, kind of like where your tree limbs come together, or there might be a hole in the tree that collects that little kind of that container of water. She'll lay her eggs there, and those mosquitoes are actually a daytime biter. And lacrosse encephalitis only affects children under the age of 16. And unfortunately, back in 2006, we did have 2 cases of lacrosse encephalitis, and unfortunately, one of those children passed away. So we stress that if you're going to be outdoors, the mosquitoes are out flying around. Even during the day, it's a good idea to wear that bug repellent. Day and night, wear the bug spray, and that helps prevent those mosquitoes from biting you. It'll also help prevent the nuisance mosquitoes from biting you too. And that's why it's a good idea to wear that bug repellent, because you have no idea if you're being bitten by a nuisance type mosquito or one that might be carrying a disease.
Well, you're talking about bug repellent for a moment. Is there anything in particular that folks need to look for if they're out and about to purchase something like this? What kind of ingredients should they be looking for?
There are 4 different ingredients that have been approved by the CDC and the EPA for use in repellent. The one that's been used for many years, DEET. You have picardin, and you have oil of lemon eucalyptus, and KBR 3535. All 4 are approved. So you want to look at the active ingredient on the label, and it's usually down here in the bottom, and it'll say active ingredient, and this one says DEET, and it'll say 25%. What the consumer wants to look at, or the public, what they want to look at, is the percentage of that active ingredient. The higher the percentage, the longer it'll last, and the less you have to apply. So if you're going to be out working in the yard for 6 hours and the mosquitoes are flying, it's a good idea to wear like a 23 or 25% DEET product, or a picardin that also has a higher percentage, and that will repel mosquitoes all day long. Picardin and DEET will also repel ticks. So if people are going to be out walking in the woods or working in the yard and they live right next to a wooded area, it's again a good idea to wear that repellent, because that'll repel the ticks from climbing up on you and biting you.
We talked about West Nile and the encephalitis, the different forms of that, but there's another I guess, newer for us disease that you folks are monitoring closely. Kind of talk a little bit about that.
Chikungunya virus is a fairly new virus to the Western Hemisphere. Used to be found more over in the Southeast Asia and Africa areas, and it's made its way into local transmission down in Central and South America and in the Caribbean. And so people that are traveling to the countries down in the Caribbean, they may be bit by the type of mosquito that's carrying chikungunya, which is kind of hard to say, but chikungunya or chickV, they're being bit by this mosquito, and then they become infected, and when they come back to the United States, we do actually have, here in the United States, we have the type of mosquito that can carry this chikungunya. What happens is, with West Nile, the mosquitoes, they bite the birds, they get the virus, then they'll bite the human or another bird or a horse. With chikungunya, actually it's transmitted, the mosquito will bite the human if that human is still in the infectious period.
Right.
They'll bite that human and pick up that virus and then be able to pass it on to another human. So it goes from human, mosquito to human instead of bird, mosquito, human. Fortunately, though, the type of mosquito that can carry chikungunya is not really found in the northern third of Indiana. Because of our climate, we have the hard, cold winters. Right. It keeps that mosquito in check. So like the state health department, when they're doing their statewide collection of adult mosquitoes, they really haven't found that type of mosquito in the northern third of the state. So we're actually kind of fortunate because if we did have any of the travelers come back here into Allen County with that virus, if we did have that type of mosquito, we'd be really concerned. Right. So we're kind of keeping monitor. We are conducting surveillance for that type of mosquito just to make sure we're not starting to see that population increase.
Okay. Well, you touched on some of the things that people need to do in order to reduce the mosquito population, besides the use of things like off-cut or the things that they can put on themselves to ward off the mosquitoes, spraying your yard or whatever, and keeping the pools of water clean as much as possible in those areas. And of course, we also have our little friends here again this year, the mosquito-eating fish. I think I upset them just a little bit. Talk a little bit about them and how folks can get some of these.
Okay. Well, these fish they're part of the guppy family, and we do provide them to the public for free for their ornamental ponds or their water gardens. They are an invasive species, so they are not allowed to be placed into creeks, ditches, woodland pools, any water that could overflow into the Indiana waterways, because it is illegal to put them in the Indiana waterways. Right. They're meant for the little ornamental ponds or water gardens, and 5 or 6 of these fish will keep a little pond clear of mosquito larvae all summer long.
Okay.
We hope to, we should have these fish available in the next couple of weeks. We do ask the public to call first before coming out, so to make sure we do have them. Right. And they can call us at 449-7459. Again, just to make sure we do have some in supply. We have a pond that they're stocked in, and we'll go and collect them and bring them back here to the office to hand out. Sometimes we might run out and then have to make another trip out to the pond to get them. So we just ask people to call first before coming out to the office.
And you mentioned this a little earlier, but let's talk some more about another problem that's out there that folks need to be aware of, and that's the problem with ticks. Yes. And we are seeing those increase during this time of year.
Yes, this early spring, early summer is the time when the ticks are at their greatest numbers. The type of tick that we normally find here in Allen County is the American dog tick. It's fairly large. If you kind of compare a American dog tick with the black-legged tick, which is the one that can carry Lyme disease, the American dog tick's a lot bigger. And the concern with the American dog tick is that it can carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever. It's rare, but it can happen. And we really haven't seen we haven't received any complaints where like someone has actually found the black-legged tick. Again, that's the one that can carry Lyme disease. We haven't really found that here in Allen County, but its range of activity is just, it keeps moving across Indiana. It's more in the northwest Indiana area, but it is kind of continuing to move our way. So probably a few years or so, we'll probably start seeing that type of tick here, but the American dog tick is the one of concern. And to protect yourself, as I mentioned earlier, it's a good idea to wear that repellent. If you are going to be walking out in the woods, another preventive measure is to tuck your pants into the bottom of your pants into your socks. Now, obviously, that kind of makes you look a little like a dork, but it does help prevent those ticks from climbing up your pant legs and getting up, because when a tick does get on you, it starts migrating up your body, and they get up into your head area, and that's where you'll usually find them attached. We used to be able to send ticks off for testing with Ball State, but unfortunately several years ago the funding for that was not available. So what people can do now is if they do find a tick on themselves or a family member, either they can find information about ticks on our website, allencountyhealth.com, or they could bring it to our office and we can identify that tick for them and give them some information on symptoms to look for that particular disease that tick might have been carrying. And then if they do start seeing any of those symptoms, talk with their doctor and get put on a treatment, antibacterial type treatment that would help prevent them from getting sick.
And people in most residential areas probably won't run into that kind of problem, but like you say, if you're in a neighborhood that has wooded area around you, high grass, anything like that, that's where you're liable to start seeing that. Yes,
that's where you probably will start seeing them. If you do live next to a wooded area, another preventive measure is make a 3-foot barrier on the ground between your yard and the woods.
Okay.
Cut out that grass 3-foot barrier along that border and put down stone or mulch. The ticks don't like to crawl across that stone or mulch, so that would help kind of keep them in that wooded area. Now granted, if you have deer or raccoons or any other wild animal on the ground coming into the yard, well, if the ticks are on them, they could fall off and still have that issue.
But at least build your little tick barrier of sorts to keep them out. Well, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Hey, Dave, thanks a lot for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone who has any questions regarding mosquitoes, ticks, you can contact Dave and the folks out here at 449-7459, and the Vector Control Office is located on Carroll Road. It's near the Allen County Fairgrounds and the Allen County Highway Department North Garage. So give them a call, stop out, maybe pick up a fish or two to put in your pond and help reduce the mosquito population here in Allen County over the summer. And that's going to do it for this edition of County Line. Remember, besides watching our programs on public access television, our past episodes are available online through our video on demand service, which we share with the City of Fort Wayne and the Allen County Public Library, plus our Allen County Info YouTube channel. If you go online to our website, www.allencounty.us, you'll find links to both of those sites. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and we'll see you again next time on County Line.